Every day there are countless reports that are made surrounding strange creatures and impossible to explain cryptid sightings from all around the world. Many of these sightings are later dismissed as nothing more than a trick of the light or the overactive imagination of the viewers themselves. However, what about the handful of sightings made every year that have yet to be adequately explained and point to overwhelming evidence of the theory that perhaps there is something far more terrifying living out there in the uninhabited lands of the world? So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be going over 4 of these unexplained mysterious sightings and the creatures that have been spotted. The Horned Beast of Bahia, Brazil. During the hot summer months in the state of Bahia, located in the country of Brazil, it is not uncommon for a large influx of American tourists to make use of the coastal towns as a summer getaway vacation area. It was during these pristine tourism months that a mysterious image emerged from the area of Bahia, Brazil, of what could only be described as a demonic-looking humanoid horned beast that can be seen in crystal clarity to be bathing in a muddy river surrounded by dense mangrove trees while carrying what appears to be a body of a young child dangling in its arms. Although there is little reliable information surrounding the image circulating across the internet, countless sources cite that the image was taken by a young female American tourist believed to be only 15 years old, of whom saw the strange creature and took a quick photo before fleeing the region. Given the incredible clarity of the image, many believed that if the photo is faked, it would have to have been via the use of practical effects or a misidentification on the part of the young girl who took the picture. Some have tried to explain away the photograph, claiming that the creature seen in the image is nothing more than a clam fisherman, as the area is commonly known for clam fishing, with many clam fishermen using secluded areas as their own personal hotspots. However, the image shows a man completely covered in mud from head to toe, with his mouth, eyes and skin completely grey in colour, with no inch of pinkish flesh or human features. The horns on the creature have been dismissed as nothing more than the possible mud-crusted hair that was pointing in different directions. However, the image clearly shows the creature to have a bald, dome-like head with sharp protrusions from the side with no other clumping of hair visible. Every skeptic explanation also fails to address what appears to be the body of a limp child dangling from the creature's arms. Continued sightings have been made over the years surrounding the Bahia horned beast, leaving many to wonder if the dense forestry and unclaimed natural land hides a dark and sinister demonic entity taking advantage of the countless number of people who go missing every year. No further evidence has been gathered surrounding the creature. The Mongolian Almas Monster. With reports of the Yeti and Sasquatch surfacing from all around the world, it is no surprise to cryptozoologists that the Mongolian kingdoms also had their own reference to giant ape-men creatures that would dwell within the distant mountainsides and wilderness uninhabited by human beings. Known as the Almas, these Mongolian hominids were believed to have inhabited the Caucasus and Pamir Mountains across Central Asia, as well as the Altai Mountains of Western Mongolia, of which the majority of ancient reports were made. The oldest known verifiable record made of the Almas was written by a man known as Hans Schildberger, a prisoner of the Mongol Khan that had been sent to Mongolia and wrote about his observations of the surrounding landscape and people back during the year 1420. In his journal, he wrote the following excerpt surrounding the Almas creatures. On the same mountain, here specifically referring to the Altai Mountains of Western Mongolia, there are savages, who are not like other people, and they live there. They are covered all over the body with hair, except the hands and face, and run about like other wild beasts in the mountain, and also eat leaves and grass and anything they can find. The lord of the country sent to a Digi, a man and a woman from among these savages, that had been taken in the mountain. Additional reports detail that the Almas are consistently described as being human-like bipedal creatures, typically between the height of 5 and 6.5 feet tall, a monstrous size compared to people during that time period, and so were often depicted as giants. Their bodies have been detailed as being varying tinges of reddish and brownish hair, with ape-like animalistic facial features such as a pronounced and enlarged brow line, a wide flat nose, and a weak chin. There have been endless debates, both archaeological and scientific, surrounding the existence of the Almas as a genuine species. Some have argued that the Almas may have been a small population of surviving evolutionary ancestors, given that their descriptions made them more humanoid than ape-like in appearance, and that their omnivorous nature and animalistic behavior pointed towards signs of less evolved intelligence. Others believe that the creature could have been a species entirely different from humanity, and could have been an undiscovered branching of the species in the past caused by the physical separation of humans in the mountains and wilderness. Researchers will generally dismiss the validity of the Almas, however, under the claim that for such creatures to exist in the modern day, it would require a rather large population that could not go unseen, and so argue that the species either never existed or is now extinct in the modern day. Despite such sentiments, the Mongolian people today continue to claim to see the Almas when talking of terrifying encounters with the giants in the Altai Mountains. The Scottish wild man called Lailoken. Referenced across countless historical tales and Scottish legends are the claims of the Scottish wild man, almost legendary in account, known as the Lailoken. The first written account surrounding this wild man creature was made in the 6th century in the story titled The Life of Saint Kentigern, of which described a wild man prophet named Lailoken that resided near the village of Partick within the kingdom of Strathclyde inside the Caledonian forest. According to the ancient written legends, Lailoken was a mystic of whom could see into the future as well as perform a variety of magical talents. He was believed to have gone insane for reasons not entirely specified, and had lived his days out in the forest as a wild man unless he was needed by others for his magical talents. In a 15th century book entitled Lailoken and the Kentigern, the book claims that the Lailoken was also known as Merlinum, with a variety of other sources claiming that he was known as Myrddin Wyllt. This has led many historians to believe that the Myrddin Wyllt was the original Welsh character that the Arthurian tales of the wizard Merlin had been based on. Further research into Myrddin Wyllt uncovers that the psychic had fought in the Battle of Afterrid on the losing side and had completely lost his mind, causing him to move out into the wilderness away from anyone who might want to use him for his magical talents. The Big Grey Man of Ben Macdui. Back in 1891, famed Scottish climber Norman Colley would reveal to reporters and publications that during his climb of the summit of Ben Macdui, the second tallest mountain located in the United Kingdom, he had encountered a strange and supernatural entity that had forever changed his outlook on the natural phenomena of the world around him. During his climb near the summit of the mountain, Norman Colley first claimed, "I began to think I heard something else than merely the noise of my own footsteps. For every few steps I took, I heard a crunch, and then another crunch as if someone was walking after me, but taking steps 3 or 4 times the length of my own." Colley would also add that though he had made earlier attempts at locating the cause of the sound, the growing mist of the mountain made it nearly impossible for Colley to have seen any object more than 5 feet in any direction. It was not until Norman Colley reached the peak of the mountain, however, that his growing fears would reach their climax. Colley explained that upon reaching the summit, the noises of the hidden creature had suddenly created in him an immense feeling of fear that he had never felt before during any of his other climbing expeditions, causing him to immediately begin running on the loose rocks and nearly injuring himself as he descended the mountain. Although a number of original reports failed to coincide with one another, some claim that Norman Colley had spotted a large figure in the mist, causing him to flee in terror. This figure would later be dubbed as the Am Fear Loath Mor, also known as the Big Grey Man of Ben Macdui. Further study into the creature shows that a number of other well-experienced and world-renowned climbers also experienced some strange and supernatural presence on the mountain. In 1904, a climber by the name of Hugh D. Welsh claimed that he had heard slurring footsteps following behind him near the summit of the mountain and suddenly experienced a growing fear of eeriness and apprehension. In 1945, famed mountaineer and rescue worker Peter Densham reportedly heard crunching noises around him as he became overcome by a terrible feeling of concern, causing him to flee the expedition. These reports would eventually build up in number until 1958, when naturalist and mountaineer Alexander Tunian would publish an article in the Scots magazine that detailed a terrifying encounter. The article is quoted as saying, "In October 1943, I spent a 10-day leave climbing alone in the Cairngorms. One afternoon, just as I reached the summit cairn of Ben Macdui, Mist swirled across the Larigue grew and enveloped the mountain. The atmosphere became dark and oppressive. A fierce, bitter wind whisked among the boulders, and an odd sound echoed through the mist. A loud footstep, it seemed. Then another, and another. A strange shape loomed up, receded, came charging at me. Without hesitation, I whipped out the revolver and fired 3 times at the figure. When it still came on, I turned and headed down the path, reaching Glenderry in a time that I have never bettered. But what do you think of these terrifying and mysterious creatures found all around the world? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, and be sure to share your answers and questions about the video to help grow our community and share insightful comments about the nature of these topics. Hopefully, as we continue to grow our community, we will one day be able to solve these unexplainable mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.